It's live. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about today. I know web hosting doesn't sound like an exciting topic, but it is when you are in the know. And today I have Shauna Callaghan, who's in the know. But first, let me tell you a little bit about me, because that's super important. So I'm Holly Homer, and I run Kids Activities blog and also Business to Blogger. And my friend, my dear, dear friend, Shauna is here, and she has helped me a little bit through the years with all this stuff. So Shauna, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, guys. I am Shauna. I run See My Designs by Shauna, which is a web and blog design company, and I've been doing that for a while. I don't even know how long, probably, I don't know, 6, 7 years, 8 years almost. And Holly and I have been working together since some of the beginning years. So,
like probably, yeah, like I don't even know how long I've been blogging, but you've been part of that probably from like day 3 or so.
And I started out as a blogger, so I'm not now, but I did start that way.
Even though your Twitter is still blah blah blogger.
Yes.
So so as Shauna mentioned, we have been in a few projects together. I'm like that friend that she just doesn't want to answer the phone when I call because I drag her into stuff, and it's often crap. but anyway, the good news is through the years, we have done a lot of projects, and we have failed often and gloriously. So we have learned a lot, and a lot of this has centered around hosting. So Shauna, tell us a little bit about what you do today and how that kind of relates to hosting.
Okay, so my business right now focuses really on 2 primary things. I do blog and web design, but I also host websites. It started by me just hosting my clients' websites. I wanted to give them an easy way to set it up. I would, say, okay, well, now you need to go set up your hosting, and they're like, what? So I would have them, go do it. I soon learned that I should just be doing that for them. So I started hosting sites. I don't know if we should name names here, but I think I started at Bluehost. Moved. I think I also had some at GoDaddy, moved to HostGator, have been on Fat Cow, have been everywhere, Lunar Pages. I'm just naming names.
Yeah, well, the thing is if you recognize the name, then either Shauna has hosted people there or I've used them as a host. Like, we've used all the big ones because, and the thing is the reason why we've used them all is because Shauna, my website keeps going down. So let's talk a little bit about like the question that like every blogger like has had over and over again is like there is no, it appears to, when you're on those traditional hosts, when you're paying $9.99 a month, that there are some ramifications to having something go popular that a lot of bloggers don't understand until it happens to them. So why don't you talk about like a traditional host and how that kind of works and what happens to me as a blogger when I have a popular post hit on Pinterest?
Right, so when you're on a traditional host, what I've learned, and let me just tell you that I am not the most technical person. I might be the most technical person that Holly knows or that you know, but I am not the most technical person. So I'm going to try and make this easy because that's how it is in my brain. But, when you're on a traditional host, you are sharing space with a lot of people, a lot of people. And most of us have probably been on both, well, not most of us. Some of us have been on both sides of this. When my sites would start running slow, I would call Bluehost. I would call my support people and say, my site's running slow, or my site is down, like what's going on? They, of course, start looking into it. And I sit on the phone for half an hour, an hour, and then they resolve the issue. And this is one side of it. I don't really know what happened there, right? Well, the other side of it is, your host reaches out to you or you call and they say, it's you. Your site has too many plugins. Your site is causing problems. You've got too many people on your site. They're probably not telling you you have too many people on your site, but what you're probably most likely hearing, and what I used to hear, is you've got too many plugins. That's the number one thing. You've got too many plugins. And they would take your site down. They will take your site down. I'm sure you've seen that. And this might be getting confusing. The other side of that is when you're hosting with all these people and their sites are going slow and they're all calling, if your site's the problem, the host is going to be quick to take you down to get all these other people off their back. So what's really happening, what I feel like is really happening there is you get a surge of traffic. You have a lot of people on your site at one time. There's a lot of processes that are running. You've got a big database. You have a lot of posts. So your plugins are calling up those things. That server is just not built to handle that. They can't handle that many people on your site at one time. So they shut you down. We've seen it over and over again with surges of traffic that they're going to shut you down if it's causing problems with everybody else who's on the server with you.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it kind of being a popularity contest to a certain extent. Is like if you're sharing with 100 other sites or 200 other sites, well, they're going to just get rid of the squeaky wheel so that the other 99 people aren't calling them because, like, I mean, it's just logic. So I learned this the hard way because I was spending every single weekend on the phone with my favorite people at Bluehost, and they were saying, you have unlimited space. You have unlimited space. You're paying for an unlimited plan. Yet, I was sitting watching my live analytics, and every time my visitor base got over about 150, 155, my site was crashing. It was pausing for a while, and then ramping back up, allowing 155 people back up, and then crashing. And the whole time I'm on the phone, and literally hours and hours and hours, with them saying, no, we're not capping your traffic. No, you have unlimited space. No, it's your plugins. And I'm saying, but I'm watching every single time I hit this magic number, my site crashes. And that went on for a long time until I moved, which is something we'll talk about in a little while. What changed when I moved, but like. There is, even though these plans are saying you have unlimited space or you can handle unlimited traffic, that's not the experience that we've had with that. And can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, it's just they just can't handle it, and I think that all it comes down to here is just finding the right fit for you, because those hosts do serve a purpose. They are affordable, and it is great for somebody starting out, but they just don't serve a purpose if you are looking to monetize your traffic, which a lot of you are, and I think that is fantastic, but you need a different solution for that. It's really the one big cost that comes along with your business that you're running, and it's not even a big cost. It's just one of the major costs. It's the most important thing, is where your site lives. So I just feel like it's something that it's worth it to spend a little bit more and be in the right place where you're not going to hit those limits. And I think it'll be good when we have some pictures of some people that have moved recently, and I think that's going to be helpful to see kind of what we're talking about too with the caps.
And before we go on to kind of like the anatomy of moving, is what let's talk a little bit about, like, a traditional hosting would be something that you would say you may pay $9.95 for. You may pay more than that if they're giving you more space or they're putting you on what they're calling a VPS. And Shauna, what's a VPS?
I don't know.
We don't know.
We have not been able to figure this out. We have moved to VPSs, and I will tell you, our sites ran better. Mm-hmm. And they lasted. I mean, they worked for years with us, but they still never worked with the spikes. We would go down with spikes of traffic.
It really didn't change I mean, it was just like a bigger traditional hosting in my experience, is that I still, I was able to handle more traffic on average, but the same thing would happen with those spikes. And I don't know if it's because it's a virtual. That's what I'm saying. I'm very suspicious of the word virtual in the private server title.
Private server.
It sounds fancy, though.
It does, and it feels very important, but you're still sharing space. You're still sharing a server with other people, and on my hosting, you're sharing space with other people, but I know exactly who you're sharing space with, and we have a certain limit of the number of people and size of blogs that we will let you share space with to keep it running well. So I don't know. Who knows what the VPS is?
We don't exactly know, and that's kind of one of the internet's mysteries. So
brilliant for thinking that.
Yeah, we do. We think we're kind of smart. I don't know. But let's go on to Shauna. And first of all, this is something that you, as a blogger, you want to plan for. So, if you're getting to the point where you're noticing that you have some things that just you think, man, I thought that post would have done a little bit better, or your site's going down a lot, I would start planning a move immediately so that you don't have something viral hit and then you're in this huge problem, because no one wants to move you in the middle of you don't want to move in the middle of a viral post. You want to actually plan a little bit. If you're writing good stuff and you're getting some traction on Pinterest and Facebook and other places where people are sharing it, then start planning and budgeting to move. And so, Shauna, once I decide, okay, I'm going to take this big step, I'm going to go ahead and move, what does that look like?
It is a lot less scary than you think it is. I will tell you that. I get why there's anxiety in moving your whole site somewhere, but there shouldn't be, because you're not going to do that yourself. I'm going to do it for you. What I'm going to do is just kind of go through a few stages, because I've gotten a lot of questions over the last few weeks as we've really been launching this, and so I'm just going to go through some of that. Starting with preparing for it. Plan for it. Try to plan for a time that you want to do it. Gather all your information. You want to gather your current hosting login information so that I can get in there. The other big thing that we're finding is a lot of you have probably been blogging for a while. You probably started on Blogger, which means you might have registered your domain name through Blogger, and you're hating yourself for that. We have to access that domain name. So you've got to find a way to access that domain name. I can help you with that. But somewhere you'll have the login information. You have to, even though they're not great about giving it to you. So that's kind of the prep, is we've got to plan ahead, plan in a time that maybe you're not going to be posting a lot. And I'll explain on that more. Do you have any other questions about preparing, or any other comments, Holly?
No, but I am one of those people that got my domain name through Blogger, and it was a challenge. That was one of the larger challenges to go get that, but it is possible. And I know, and Shauna's done it a lot of times now, so she can give you some hints about that.
Yeah. So then it's the time for the move, and there's a lot of questions. The biggest one is, how much downtime is my site going to have? We assume that there's downtime because it seems like a time where there would be, but there really doesn't have to be. Sometimes there is. I will tell you, sometimes there is, just because something goes a little wonky, but there really should not be any downtime. So what's happening here is we make a copy of your website. So I copy your site and I put it over on the new server, and then we have your domain name, and I have to point your domain name to the new server. So what people are getting during the transition is they're either on the old server or the new server. So they're still seeing your site, they're just on one or the other. So that's the reason I tell you not to post during that time, because we make a copy of your site. We're not going to copy it a second time if you go and add a bunch of new content. So kind of a slow time is a good idea.
Yeah, and the other thing that a lot of people, and I've been I know this because I've done this myself, is you like start this process and then you run to your analytics and it doesn't make sense. Like nobody, you like there's nobody there, and you have to like just walk away because some of your visitors are still seeing the old site and some of your visitors are seeing the new site, and your analytics is not like computing all that.
Yeah, analytics gets a little wonky during that time. Honestly, the best thing you can do is step away from your computer during this time. I think we waste a lot of time going back and forth, like, was it up now? Do you see it up? Like, I'm seeing, you know, you and I both. I mean, I will waste a bunch of time on it too, but I sit there, I stay with it, I take care of it during that time, so you know that there's somebody that's got eyes on it. But anyway, it can be a few hours before the site is fully up on the new server. It can be 48 hours. It can be a significant amount of time. Usually it's just a couple hours that it gets moved over there. You shouldn't lose anything. That's another question is, you know, am I going to lose posts or anything? You shouldn't. There have been times where I have moved sites kind of in a rush environment where there's just been things that didn't happen as they should have. So it can happen. Things can happen, but we're not going to lose. If we were to lose something significant, I can go back to your old host and I can grab what I need to grab. So
yeah, and I mean, I've had that experience because, you know, because Shauna has helped me, we've been able to combine sites and then move sites into sites. And so, like, and then often those were originally on Blogger, and so the photos sometimes, like, once we got all moved over, you know, I say, oh, you know, some of the small amount of photos aren't showing up that were on the site from 7 years ago, and then she'll go in and like do something magic. But like once you get moved in, like it's kind of like you get unpacked and moved in, and then you can kind of look around and make sure everything's fine. 99% of the time it's fine. Every once in a while you'll see a little hitch, and that's where, you know, Shauna can go work some magic behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah, I can't think of any other questions that people had for during the move. Is there anything you can think of?
I mean, the big one is that you just, you know, it's not rocket science, like, and it's not scary as it sounds, and you really do, like, you need to just step away. Like, on the day that you're gonna move, don't post anything, you know, like, take a vacation day, like, don't do a lot of pinning and all that kind of stuff. You just want, like, that, you know, you want to be able to be moved in. You wouldn't invite a bunch of friends over until you had unpacked and got your, you know, furniture arranged. So just kind of think of it that way. You know, it's a little vacation day for you. You're going to come back, you're going to check on it, you're going to check in with Shauna, and then when she's like, oh, it's all okay, then go out and pin and post to Facebook and call your friends and tell them to send your traffic.
The other question I do get is about the cost of moving. So I right now have been offering a special where I'll move your site for free. It is very time consuming to move a site on my end. It is rocket science.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it does take me some time, and the bigger your site, the longer it'll take me. So, I mean, I can spend 8 to 10 hours moving a site. So right now I'm offering a free move, but if I take a look at your site and it's pretty huge, then I'll charge you usually around $150 to move the whole database and all the images and stuff. So,
and that's pretty standard. Like if you were going to move to Synthesis, which is another kind of premium host that I've used and do use, they have, I think it's a $99 charge, and then for something else they do is another $99. So, like, generally you're moving for less than $200, and if you're going to be part of that yourself, then it's $100. And there are ways that you can move yourself. We're not going to talk about that today, because why would you do that? If you're having so much traffic that you're moving and you're, you know, like, pay someone that knows. Like, don't do this yourself unless you understand it. Then don't listen to me.
Yeah, I don't recommend doing it yourself. And there are a lot of things I do recommend doing yourself.
Yes. Well, not me. Like, I'm not allowed to touch coding.
Doing anything yourself.
So, but yeah, like, and if Shauna says, "Hey, it's going to be $150 or $200 to move your site," like that means like it's going to be worth it. Like, if she says those words, then then you're in good shape. Your AdSense is gonna pay for that in the next month.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this is a really, really sensitive subject because oftentimes what we're doing is we are taking a site that you've been paying $9, $10, $12, maybe $19 a month to host, and all of a sudden we're saying you need to be paying $50, $70, $120 a month. Can we talk a little bit about like what the difference between traditional hosting and more what I would call premium hosting or managed hosting is? Like why do you have to charge more, Shauna?
Well, let me tell you, I do have a super affordable plan that's $10 a month, $100 a year. That if you're in a place where your site can be on that level of hosting, I do offer it. But if you need a higher package, then we do have to increase the cost. One of the things that actually I was talking to somebody yesterday, and you had said something to her that I was like, why didn't I think of that? You had told her essentially, if you have a really good relationship with your host because you're on the phone with them all the time and they provide you with great support, that's a problem. You shouldn't be calling your host all the time. This should be something where you can just let us manage it and let us watch your traffic. If you're going to get a spike of traffic, I would love for you to call me and tell me so I can prepare and bump up your bandwidth. But I don't want you to have to be on the phone with me all the time trying to solve problems. I want to be able to be proactive. And so we have a fantastic server. That's going to probably be the big difference. We have a fantastic, the technology is great and it runs fast. And we keep adding things to it to make it better and faster. We really have your interest in heart. We want you to stay with us. We are charging you a little bit more, not a ton more, and less than a lot of people. But I think it's worth it to have the uptime.
Yeah, and I do want to go back to that whole converse. Like, if you're on the phone with your host, that's not a relationship you need. Like, hosting should not be dramatic. If you feel like you're thinking about hosting a lot, then that is a red flag to move immediately. Because since I've moved and since I've been on appropriate premium hosting, I have it's been nearly 2 years, and I've been down for 2 minutes. And it was one of those fluky things that once I let them know, they went in, they did something magical, and I've been back up. And that's, that was not my experience before I moved. Like, before I moved, I was on the phone on a regular basis with my hosting. Like it was speed dial on my phone. Like, it was programmed into my phone. If you have your host's, number programmed into your phone, that is a red flag. Like, that is not normal. Like, this does not have to be difficult. This is actually something that can be managed with you not even worrying about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Shauna, tell us a little bit about that $10 plan that you have. If I'm paying $10 and I have a post go viral, what's going to happen?
Right. So that was a solution that Holly and I have been working on over the last few weeks. I've tried to come up with some overage plans so that we either can bump you up to the next level, or you can just pay an overage fee. So if your site's normally getting a couple hundred hits a day, and then Holly goes and shares your post on Facebook, then it may get 10,000 in a day. Well, that would normally, you'd hit your bandwidth, you'd be shut down. Call me beforehand or email me, or have Holly can call me beforehand, which she does. She calls me and says, I'm sharing Jen tomorrow, just so you know.
11 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
But I can go in and make sure your bandwidth is not going to go down, like you're not going to be shut down, and then we can just work out an overage deal. So right now I have $5 per gigabyte of bandwidth, an overage fee. So you either pay that or we bump you up to the next plan that's more appropriate, because most likely your traffic's going to stay up. If you're able to get a huge spike of traffic, it is going to go back down, but it's going to be just a little higher than it was before because you've got all these people that were able to access your site and follow.
Yeah. And why don't you find those graphs, because I think that is so, like, that just makes so much sense when you see the graphs. But one of the things I wanted to say about, like, I wish I could find this post because it was so brilliant, but it was written by a blogger that wrote I think the name of the post was "What My Viral Post Cost Me," and she was on traditional hosting and a situation where she had something hit big. She wrote about something about the new iPhone launch right at the right time, was being picked up by not only news organizations but also Google, and she was getting hundreds of thousands of visitors on that post, which meant she, like a snowball, where she had to, pay overages and then eventually move in the middle of that post going viral, knowing full well that she was missing a whole bunch of hits during that time. And then it turned out that in the end, and just the stress and all this kind of stuff that goes along with a week-long, just barrage to your site, that she made maybe a handful of dollars, but it was so stressful to her that it was almost like once it was over, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that's over. And that's what's so sad. Like a viral post should be celebrated. Like, that's something you wrote that people want to see, that want to read. There's people clamoring to get to your site. Like, they need to be there. So that's what I love. Like, this overage plan, because so you pay maybe $10, $20, $30, $40 to have that post stay up and go. But like, if you have just normal AdSense installed, and let's say you have a post that just goes really crazy, and you get 100,000 views on that post, that's going to be $300 or more just with traditional AdSense installed on your site. So a $50 overage charge or a $20 overage charge is going to be completely covered with what you would make on your advertising.
Right. Okay, I've got these screenshots. I'll share them one at a time. Is that pulling up funky, or is that right?
It is. It looks good. I'm gonna keep it on there. I think I can keep it on there. Okay. So this is a site, and what was her average beforehand?
Man, I don't know. I don't have that on here.
Yeah, I think she was averaging like 4,000, 5,000 a day.
Yeah.
And so you can see with this moving day. And what I really want, this is what this is what I was suspicious of, that I came to Shauna with. I said, I think what's happening is that, like, when they get these bursts of traffic on traditional hosting, they're being capped. I mean, there's nobody's out there saying that this is what's happening. This is just what we think is happening. So you can see, like, in between February and March, she had a really nice spike, and then another spike in March, and then, a little spike in April, and then at the end of April, a really nice big spike. But what is crazy is after moving day, nothing changed as far as promotion. So she was still getting, it's not like if it was a big Facebook page that was sharing her stuff in February and March, that was no different than May and June. But because
I think you should also note that her site crashed on these spikes.
Yes, that's true.
Like, it got up to here and then it crashed. So not only, that was the only difference.
Yeah, exactly. So what was happening is she had a bunch of people going to her site, and then it was crashed, and that's super frustrating and stressful for the blogger. Now she's moved, and look how much higher those spikes, which is probably the very same shares that she was getting before, but all those people are being able to access her site. And what's super exciting for a blogger is look at her new normal when she doesn't have anything viral going. Look, it's double or triple what her old normal was.
Right. Let me show you one other one, too, if I can figure out how to do it. Screen share. There we go. We were just looking at, yeah, there we go, and there we go. All right. So we're seeing a different one now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is, and this is someone who started out with more traffic than the last one. In fact, the last one was a pretty new blogger, but somebody who's writing really popular stuff that's getting shared a lot.
Yeah.
This person has more of a through the first April and May, you can see she has a lot of Pinterest traffic, and the Pinterest traffic does come in waves, but it's not as sharp and crazy as Facebook traffic. And so her host was actually handling, or we felt like was handling the Pinterest traffic. But what was problem was these Facebook shares were these spikes, and in this case, it wasn't as obvious. Like the site wasn't always crashing, but like it just felt like it wasn't, like I would get some comments like, oh, it was loading slow, or or I can't get on right now, but then like I would try it and I could get on. So we never were as suspicious because it didn't seem like it was always crashing.
Yeah, it was just real. It was pretty slow. Like her site speed is so much significantly faster now.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, those spikes are almost double and triple what the spikes were before.
I know, and we don't even have. She had a giant spike this last weekend, and it's not even on this chart. But the site has just been performing fantastically on the new server. So.
And look at her new normal too, and that's what I like as a blogger, and if you're building your site for passive income, every single hit is, that's where you're getting your money. So it's so important to allow those spikes to happen because your new normal is higher. You have more subscribers, you have more fans, you have more people just knowing who you are in the world.
Right. All right. I can go back. There we go. Look, I'm back.
Yay. Yay. So, I mean, and that's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit of a missionary for premium hosting, but I kind of think about it this way. Like, if you're on a traditional host and you're paying $10 a month, like, everybody on their server is also paying $10 a month, and they don't necessarily, and like you're one of millions, and and these are people, name brands that you would recognize and that you've spoken with on the phone multiple times. But if you think about it, like they can't handle like true management of a host like that. Like if you're the problem, they're going to just eliminate you to quiet the other 200 people on that server. And so what you really want to do is figure out a way to find a place that gets you better, like that understands you and can manage. So like if Mondays are always a big day for you, you would have a host that would know that and make preparations, or maybe pair you with some other sites that Mondays aren't such a big deal. And so that's, I think, where like active management of resources is really, really important. And I think that's why sometimes you'll pay a little bit more from that. But even when we're talking about this, cheaper plans that you're just doing overage charges, that's kind of where those overage charges are going to come in, is kind of that active management.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm just, yeah, and the problem lies also in the fact that when a site is continuously down and you're stressed out when you have a popular post, even if it's not even what you would consider viral but popular, there is a backlash to a certain extent on the social media platforms that shared that. So like if you have a popular pin, but all of a sudden people are clicking through and can't get to your site, that's frustration that not only is going to look, they're going to be kind of disgruntled about your site, but also Pinterest. Like it reflects badly on Pinterest. And if you have continual things where people are, trying to get through and not getting through, that could potentially be damaging to your Pinterest account or to how Pinterest views your site. And the same thing about Facebook. If I'm continually sharing something, but the site keeps going down, and then I have 50 comments, I can't get through, I can't get through, I can't get through, it puts whoever shared that in a difficult position, because they're like, well, I don't know that I can share from that site, or I'm stressing this blogger out, I'm trying to be nice and I'm stressing her out because all of a sudden her site's just crashed and now she's on the phone with her host. So I'm just saying, like, it's just a really good thought to, like, look at how, your blog's been performing. Look at your own charts. If you're seeing that every single one of your spikes is kind of level, I would be really suspicious that maybe you're not getting the full benefit of those spikes.
Yeah, or if the site gets super slow during those spikes, then most likely your ads are never loading or people aren't able to get to it, or if it goes down, that's a pretty obvious sign. But yeah, I would love to work with you guys, so you're welcome to contact me. There's some other great hosts out there that I recommend as well. There's a bunch that I don't recommend.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned Synthesis as well. That's one that I've had a really, really good relationship with for the last 2 years, and has really opened my eyes to the fact that it doesn't have to be dramatic. But I will say, Synthesis, you're never going to get anyone on the phone. Like, you're going to be emailing back and forth. And that is not, I have another site hosted with Shauna. That is not my experience with Shauna. Although I do have her number.
She does have me on speed dial, but for other reasons.
And for some reason, she keeps answering the phone. I don't know what's up with that. So, Shauna, tell us how they can get a hold of you and learn more about what you do and the plans that we've kind of brainstormed for some of these viral and popular posts.
Yep, so what I would do is go to my site, which is seemydesignsbyshauna.com, and go up to my services in the menu, go down to hosting, and all my plans are listed right there. But I can come up with a custom plan for you too. If your traffic is a lot higher than my highest plan, I can come up with we can do some custom plans for you. Fill out my contact form, and we can kind of figure out the best plan for you, because sometimes it's hard to figure out what the best plan is. So I'm happy to help you decide which one is best, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, and I also want to put a little plug in for your maintenance services too. If you are like me and you are not comfortable going in and updating plugins, updating your theme, if all that makes your head just hurt, then I would really sign up for Shauna's maintenance plans. And what a lot of that includes is her just going in and updating things when they're necessary. Sometimes when you update the theme, some of the plugins don't work, or it's just one of those scary things that I just really am thankful that Shauna will do that for a little bit of money per month. And also some of her maintenance packages also include like an hour of her time, which I totally take advantage of. And so, but that way, like if I need something tweaked or I have a question, then I just feel comfortable like emailing that to her, because she's expecting to spend at least an hour or 2 or 3 with Holly Homer this month. So.
Or whatever.
So it's really, really cool. But I would love, if you have more questions about hosting, I don't think this is the last time we're going to be talking about this. I know I'm in several Facebook groups that just the questions keep coming and coming and coming, because it is something, it's kind of like scary behind the scenes. We don't know what's going on with it. So please, if you want to leave questions either on the event page or also on the YouTube video, or I will be embedding this on Business to Blogger as a blog post on Monday. Leave questions in any of those places, and we will field them for a future video. Yeah. So thank you, Shauna, so much. I really appreciate. The other thing is it's really neat that when I say, Shauna, there's all these bloggers having this problem, and I hate to send them to like $75 a month hosting when I'm not sure that they are going to need it like tomorrow, but they need it today. And so I really appreciate Shauna's saying like, hey, let's problem solve this and come up with a product that will work. And so thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to help.
So anyway, go over to seemydesignsbyshauna.com and figure out what's going on, and then really take a look at your analytics and kind of what your game plan is here. If you're wanting to, really make money from your blog, you're going to need to make sure that every single person that ever in the whole world wants to see your blog gets there. So thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate it.